Welcome back to Awaken. My name is Zainab, and this is a space where truth is not only allowed, it is honored. Today's episode is different. Today I'm speaking from the deepest part of me, the part that almost didn't make it, the part that survived and the part that rebuilt. This episode is for the women who have felt lost, stuck, and exhausted, and the women who has forgotten that she can rewrite everything, because this is a lesson that saved my life. You can change what the past means to you. You can change the reality of your present, and you can change how you exist in the future. Everything, I mean everything, can be rewritten. You can change what the past means to you. There was a moment in my life, a moment I've never talked about publicly until now, a moment where ending everything felt easier than living another day. I didn't want to die. I just didn't want to know how I didn't know how to live with the weight of my past. And here's what I've learned. Your past will destroy you if you never challenge its meaning. Your past is not the truth. It's just the beginning. Your past is not your identity, it's your origin story. Your past is not a punishment, it's a place you walk through, not the place you stay. Your past does not get to define you unless you hand it the pen. Now, a personal story about my past and what it did to me, I let it bleed into every single thing that I was doing because I thought suppressing it would make it go away. I thought not acknowledging it would make it just disappear or desiccate. And that is the farthest thing from the truth, because it was affecting my parenting style. It was affecting my workflow. It was affecting my school flow at the time. It was affecting every single part of my life. And it wasn't until I acknowledged how much, how heavy it was, and it wasn't until I made the conscious intention to actually sift through that pain and acknowledge that it was there and understand why it's there, and kind of not fix yourself, but in a way and heal that wound, right? And to heal that wound, I had to understand why it was there in the first place. And it came up a lot of abandonment issues, a lot of just having a hard time looking myself in the look actually looking in the mirror and acknowledging that there was a problem there, right? Which is a struggle a lot of people have. And I was able to put my ego aside and actually do the work, and say to myself that if I want to live a peaceful life, I have to do this work. I have to feel the pain so it can go away. Just like if you were to, I love using this analogy because it really gives people that breakthrough moment. Like, let's say you have an injury on your skin, or you have an internal injury, or you get hit, or you break your arm, right? Let's use the break your arm theory. If you break your arm and you don't acknowledge that you broke your arm, or you don't go to the doctor to fix it, or you don't wear a cast, is it just going to go away? Or is the pain going to get worse and worse and worse over time? And it's the same thing with an emotional wound, and it's the same thing with a internal wound. If you don't deal with it, it's just bleeding into every single part of your life. And that's why it's so important to give your past a meaning. Name it. Give it a name. Okay? Acknowledge that it happened, so you can take control of your emotions, and point them in the right direction. This is why I created the emotional compass. The emotional compass saved me from that part of myself, right? Because I pointed my emotions into the right direction, and I stayed disciplined in that direction. And so once I was able to do that, I was able to name my past, heal from my past, and not let it bleed into my future, or not let it bleed into my present moment. And so, yeah, so that was a huge breakthrough moment for me. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge. You cannot think that you're going to go through trauma and then not deal with it and suppress it and keep working and keep doing this and keep doing that, and then it's just going to go away. after time. No, you're making it worse for yours. You're making the wound deeper by doing something like this. So just keep that in mind when you do go through something. Acknowledge it, understand it, and that's the most powerful truth. Your past only haunts you when you don't give it a new assignment. I had to ask myself, what does my past mean to me now? Who did it shape me into? What did it teach me? What is it trying to make me become? And the moment I changed the meaning of the past, the moment I stopped controlling, the moment the past stopped controlling my life. And the second part, right? The second part to this is you can change the reality of your present. So suicidal thinking doesn't come from weakness. It comes from being stuck in a version of the present that feels impossible to escape. Your present reality becomes a war zone when the past is loud, the future is blurry, the pressure feels endless, the pain feels permanent, your mind won't quit, your heart won't rest, and you feel like you have nowhere to breathe. But here's the truth that saved me: the present moment is the only moment. The present moment is the only moment where transformation is possible. You can decide today what you will tolerate, what you won't, what you nurture, what you release, who you allow, who you let go, what version of you shows up next. The past is your present, the present is your doorway. The present is your doorway. So, with that being said, what are you deciding in your present that's going to shape your future? What are the things that you are incorporating in your daily routine that's going to shape you becoming that version or that vision that you decided you wanted to be? And that's what the present is for. The present is the journey. The present is the decision every single day. The present is the discipline every single day. The presence is the consistency every single day. You want a certain goal. There's certain things you have to do to work towards that goal. And so that's what living in the presence really is you living here, but you also are living here with the intention of being something in the future, and you're actually creating the action to be that person. Does that make sense? So you are, whatever decisions you're making today is shaping that person that you're going to become in the future. And life happens. We get distracted. I mean, everything is a distraction. Our phones are distractions. Our way home is like, if every you're driving, there's distractions everywhere. You're walking in a peaceful walk, there's distractions everywhere. There's always going to be distractions, and it's how you train yourself in this present moment, how you allow yourself to live in those distractions and still stay focused. And that's something that was my biggest challenge with the present moment, is staying focused on the prize and staying focused on the mission, while healing and being a mom, and getting myself out of financial struggle. All of the stuff was the stress of the present moment, but me also working towards that vision of myself that I want to be. And that comes with a lot of pressure, but pressure makes diamonds. And that's something I learned. It's like, if you can't handle pressure in life, your life is going to be meaningless. You're going to see struggle in every single thing, when life is going to life every single day. Life is lifing for everyone, and it's really how you define it. Okay, you can go through all the stress in the world, but if you give it the meaning, like, this is temporary, this is something I have to go through to build myself, this is something I have to go through to get to that financial breakthrough, or to get to that career that I want, or to get to whatever it is, right? So it's like, there's stepping stones to every single thing. And my stepping stone was making the decision to live another day, making the choice to heal my mind, heal my body, and heal my soul. And that came with a lot of goodbyes. That came with a very disciplined workout routine. That came with a sticking to my diet, sticking to whatever you eat, you become. It's the same exact thing. Whatever you incorporate into your ears, into your sight, into your whatever movies you watch, whatever music you listen to, all of those things, you're feeding your mind as well. You're feeding your mind knowledge. And with that knowledge comes a big responsibility. Am I feeding it the right way, or am I feeding it the wrong way? And that's why, like, my obsession with psychology and mindset has been something I'm obsessed with since I was a child, literally 8 years old, asking why this person made that, just and analyzing every single person's actions, body language, all this stuff was something, patterns. Oh my god, I learned that at such a young age. And it's just something that, you know, over time, when I decided to go and step into this, I got even more obsessed with it, because it's like I'm only as strong as my mind. And with that realization, with me saying that out loud, my mindset became my number one goal. And with my mindset being my number one goal, once I achieved that and I started growing in that and I started gaining the knowledge and it started to become easier for me to articulate my words and become what I was speaking, and my vision in my mind of who I was. I worked towards that girl. I worked towards that woman. I worked really, really, really hard to become her. I learned. I stayed on task, even though there was a lot of distractions. There was a lot of pulling here and pulling there, and people trying to turn my head, and all of those things. But I stayed focused on my prize. Sometimes I turn my head a little bit, which, I'm human. I turn my head just a little bit, just to see what's going on. And then straight back into it, straight back into my focus. Listen, I'm human. Sometimes, your temperament gets the best of you. You got to turn your head a little bit. I always say, if they F around, let them find out. It's really that's the old me. I don't do that anymore. Sometimes I'll let her come out just a little bit, but she pops up just to see a little bit, just to get a little glimpse. But I control her. I control that side. I do. Oh my gosh. But anyways, so listen, the feisty side of me is a part of my future. The feisty side is a part of my future. I love her. She's feisty. She's cool. She's like, you know, clawing her way through. But she, you know, I'm talking about her like she's my alter ego. She is my alter ego. She is. Like, she's fun. She's like feisty and like all of those things. So anyways, that's really like, um so you're only as strong as you're only as strong as your mind, okay? This wouldn't be Awakened by Zainab Hamid if I didn't throw a little jokes here and there about my personality, okay? My personality is like very feisty sometimes, but fun feisty, not disrespectful feisty, right? There's a difference. But feisty in a way, like, I don't throw the first punch, but I do, you know, turn my head here and there, sometimes. Not all the time. Anyways, when you think about your present moment, and when you are in your present moment and you're stuck in the past, it feels like almost a prison. Literally, like you're in a prison, like you're in a cage, like you're in chains, right? And the most freeing thing is to accept your past for what it is, accept the hurdles that you had to go through, accept the things that you had to really endure, right? And it wasn't fair. A lot of it isn't fair. depending on the circumstance. A lot of it isn't fair. A lot of it is oppression. A lot of it is um, comes with anger. The reaction that you have is anger and despair and sadness and grief, right? Grief is a huge part that bleeds into your present moment. And there's just some things like losing my dad, for instance, was a part of my life that will always stick with me. But it's such a beautiful part of my life because it really allows me to live in the present, because you never know when your moment is going to come. And so living in that present moment is something, it helped me grieving it the right way and actually accepting my dad's passing in the right way actually helped me really appreciate the present moment and what I live for, right? Because it showed me how fast things can change. And I think if people saw life that way and saw death that way, right, they would live in more in the present moment. They would be able to accept the present moment for what it really is, and they would be able to grieve in a healthy way. And it wasn't until I grieved in a healthy way my dad's death, like I'm speaking of him, and probably a year ago, if I would have just said my dad, I would have fell into hysteria, period. And so, I had a moment, when I was working on this framework and working on the emotional compass, where I was talking about my dad's death because that's a huge pivotal moment in my life. And I didn't cry. And it made me so worried that I was like, why didn't I cry? Like, what's happening? And it really made me put things into perspective, like you're healing from the grief. You're not forgetting him. You're just healing that part of you. You're accepting it for what it is. You're able to talk about it in a beautiful way because you accepted his presence, right? And you accepted that he still lives within you. And so and so I think just taking the meaning out, shifting the meaning of his death, oh, he's not here anymore, to look at what he taught me in my life that made me into the woman I am. And so, sorry. Everything. Excuse me, sorry. I think, you know, just living in his. I didn't think I was going to cry like that, but um, I think living in accepting and building a character around who the woman that he, or the little girl that he raised, and also creating my own character as well, right? A character that I'm proud of who I am, and And he was a huge part of my inspiration behind who I want to be, you know, because he was a pillar to our community, and he was um, a great man. You know, he showed me what a great man is. And so, you know, my life choices when it comes to that part weren't like him. They weren't like him, and they weren't anything like who he was. And I didn't realize that until like I really sat by myself and I was like, what do I really want? And that was a question I reflected on today too. It's like, what do you really want in your present moment? And just living in, just removing the negative meaning of your past and trying to shift it into something positive. You know, like shifting death into positivity is very difficult. It's almost impossible. But if you look at it like, okay, they honored me with 16 years of my life. Like God honored me with that time with him, and he taught me lessons that I'm using into my adulthood too. Like that's positive. You take that positive and you shift it into your present moment. Like the death was hard, the grief was hard, and I still grieve it. Like here's something I will grieve for the rest something I will grieve for the rest of my life. Like that's it's just a wound that will always kind of be there, and it has to be there. And it taught me discipline, that life is not forever. So you have to do what you said you're going to do. You have to live for you and not anybody else, because you're not taking anyone else. When you die, everyone's going to forget about you, especially not your kids and stuff like that, but every person that you care what they think, or you care what the community says, or you care what this person says and that person says, they don't like, they're going to forget about you 2 weeks after you die. What is the point? What's the point about making choices for other people's opinions? And that's why living in the present moment but working towards your future is something that you have to do with you, yourself, and that's it. Like, what do you want from your life, and work towards that vision? And an intention that I made a year ago, where I had to teach myself to not people please anymore. I had to live in the present moment. I had to also grieve the parts of me that I no longer wanted to partake in. And so that was all a journey from living. You can live in the present but also be living in the past and stuck in the past. And that was the place that I was in when I was in the mode of, I can't be here anymore, or I didn't want to be here anymore. That moment of, what am I living for? What am I doing? What do I want to change in my life? And I have to stay so disciplined to change it, right? And so I did. And so I did. Every single day I made the conscious choice. I want to change how my body looks. I want to change my mindset. I need to be strong mentally before anything else. And that was the intention I made a year and a half ago on this journey, to be so strong mentally that I can't be shaken. That was literally in my journal from a year and a half ago. My mind was my first focus, because I know with my own analyticals and my own body language reading and all of the stuff of studying people without them even knowing that I was, that your mind is the strongest thing in your entire existence. I don't care if you are 1% body fat. I don't care. If your mind is weak, you are weak. That's it. That's the way I see things. Like, I wanted to be a mental athlete, which is a term that I created, a mental athlete, before I was an athlete anywhere else. And then once I became or started having the attributes of the mental athlete, my body followed because I stayed disciplined, I stayed consistent. Without me even trying, my body started to form. Of course, I was working out and eating healthy and all that because my mind, I started with my mind first. And that helped me live in the present moment. That's this okay, my body's not where I want it to be right now, but I'm working towards it. In the future, it is going to be. And now I'm like, oh my God, like I did that, Like I really, really did that. I worked my ass off for it, literally. I I worked really, really, really hard for it. And there's still certain things, that are going to change, but it's like I worked so hard for this version of me. And that's why I protect my peace at all costs. And so when we when we move into the future version and you finally see the results of what you said you want it to be, and you see that result in the future, but now it's your present moment. Does that make sense? So you made the intention in your present moment to look a certain way in 6 months, and then you get to that 6 months and you look in the mirror and you're like, I did it. There's no better confidence boost than that feeling. There's no better validation for yourself. That's how I validate myself, is by setting a goal, achieving that goal, and being like, yeah, I did that. That's how I validate myself. That's why I don't need external validation. I don't need someone to tell me you're doing a good job or anything like that, because I set a goal, I achieve it, and then boom, my confidence is on another level. My All of those things fall into place. I don't need external validation. All of that falls into place because I set a goal and I achieved it. That's the whole point of it. Even when it comes to your mindset or your body, or even when you say no to certain things that you would have said yes to in the past, that's like a proud moment for me. Like, wow, I was able to say no without a hesitation. So it's really a beautiful way to give yourself that validation, to set a goal for yourself, and then actually be disciplined and consistent enough to achieve that goal. And then that's how you boost your confidence. That's how you give yourself validation. That's how you become so, like, your energy just changes. You are altogether a boost of energy, for the outside world. And I'm not saying that about me, I'm saying that about you. You become that because nothing else matters other than, like, you're just, I don't know how to explain it better than that. Like, become when you become the person that you dreamed of, you become extremely protective over that. So, and in this part, nobody talks about, you are not required to become the version of you that almost didn't make it. You get to exist differently. You get to exit with softness, clarity, boundaries, self respect, alignment, purpose, peace, power, and freedom. You get to exist as the version of you who survived. You get to exist as the woman you were always meant to become. And this is the part most people miss. The future starts the moment you decide who you want to be. Not next year, not next month, not next week, right now. And so what is that thing that you want to be in 6 months? What is that thing right now in this moment? What needs to change in your life for you to be that person? And that takes a level of self-reflection, right? That takes time for you to look in the mirror and be like, okay, could I have handled that thing differently? Or could I, what do I need to change? What do I need to enhance in my discipline routine or in my focus, which is something I'm working on? It's really hard. It's really hard for me to focus on one thing at a time. So that's definitely a thing that I've been working on personally. And, you know, It's something I've been working on my entire life, actually. It's been a struggle. It's really been a struggle. You can change what the past means to you. You can change the reality of your present moment. You can change how you exist in the future. This is the trilogy of healing. This is your emotional compass. That is your book. That is your resurrection. And that is your proof. The woman I was that woman the woman I was needed saving. The woman I am learned how to save herself. And the woman I'm becoming, she's the blessing I never saw coming. And you listening right now, you're not done. Your story isn't over. Your life isn't over. Your chapter isn't closed. Your meaning can change. So ask yourself these questions. What does my past mean to me? What is the truth of my present moment? And who do I want to be in the future? Because the moment you answer these questions is the moment your life begins again. And so, with that being said, I really appreciate you guys spending your time with me today. And leave your thoughts and leave your comments in the comment section. I really appreciate the feedback. And so, my name is Zainab Hamid. I help women overcome the storm within so they can rise again. My Candly is under in the caption here. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one coaching appointment, feel free to schedule that today and schedule your safe seat. So have a great day and have a blessed weekend.